Welcome to this month's Women Think and Grow Rich Coaching and Conversation Hangout. This is Dawn Nocera, and I am your host of this Women's Think and Grow Rich Hangout. And this month we're talking about Chapter 8 on Decision, the Mastery of Procrastination. Yay! And here I am. I apologize for my quality of the camera because I am traveling and I actually forgot my camera while I was traveling, so I'm just using the computer's camera. So I'm hoping that you can see me well enough and hear me well enough that we can get into this this chapter, because this is one of my favorite chapters to teach, to discuss, to mastermind about, because every time I get into it, it seems like such a masculine chapter. We're talking about decision, we're talking about the founding fathers in here, and there's so much, the hard charging, make a decision, like the kind of like the do or die energy. But I have got some really great secrets to share with you that will help you make decisions from a very flowy place that that men just don't understand. So we're going to talk about that. So of course they can't write about it because they just don't get it. So we're going to dive into that. But to kind of just to get started, reminding you, hopefully you were able to read the chapter and kind of get up to speed. I'll catch everybody up to speed if you weren't able to read the chapter before you're watching the Hangout. This chapter is it's truly about the power of making a decision. And decision is the mastery over procrastination. I think that that's kind of important. Making a decision to move forward in life, to make a decision to move right now. And he talks a lot about, Napoleon Hill talks a lot about in this chapter about the courage required to make a decision. And it makes it seem like such a hard thing to do. It makes it seem like the do or die decisions. And when we're starting, making a decision on where to go to eat is a decision that helps you build those decision muscles. Excuse me. And kind of we're going to talk about that today, like different ways we can build our decision-making muscles. So when it's time for us to make a big, grand decision, and these decisions happen throughout life all the time, that we'll be equipped, we won't doubt ourselves, and we will feel, that sense of confidence that you get from making a decision that you just know, like, yes, this is my decision, regardless of the outcome. And that's what we're talking about in the chapter on decision. It's like I'm making a decision regardless of, I'm making this decision, and this is what I feel is the right decision now. And this is helpful, especially when you're caring for people who are injured or, in the hospital. Like, there's some situations that come up for women that don't always come up that the men don't take care of. That this kind of decision making is really can be an important factors in our lives, and we're doing it all the time. So this is, women make decisions in a very natural way. Men make a decision where it is a very, like cutting the cords to any other option, and we're going to talk about that. And we do it too, but we kind of do it a little differently. So, hey viewers from the outside, you can click on that link to join on the inside if you would like. I'd love to see you on the inside. You can turn your camera off if you want. But let's get started. If you have thoughts or comments that you want to talk about regarding all of these decisions, and I think it's really interesting. I'm going to turn this camera around so you can see where I am. I don't know if you can see where I am, but I am sitting across the river from, that's Washington, D.C., somewhere out there. It's actually Georgetown, but part of Washington, D.C. This is like not exactly where the founding fathers were when they were signing those declarations of independence, the Declaration of Independence, and independence, excuse me, and they were making those decisions. They were in Philadelphia, and I loved going to Philadelphia when I first went there. I could feel that power of the decisions that make a country. But I thought, how appropriate that I'm sitting, in the seat of America as we're talking about decisions this week and how powerful decisions can be for our business. We're going to talk about our business and our life. And yeah, so I'm going to open up. You guys can unmute yourself. I'd love to hear what you say. I'm getting really warm too. I'm going to open up my window a little bit. Hopefully it's not too hot or too noisy. Okay. So when you read this chapter on decision, did you feel very connected to it? Did you understand? Did you feel your own power as a decision maker? Or did you feel, wow, that's not how I make decisions. I have a long way to go. These are kind of questions, because I remember reading this the first time thinking, yes, I get this. And I'm going to do it in this very masculine way, make decisions in this very, masculine way. But it comes off as a very, for me to do it as a woman, making these decisions like this is what we're going to do and there is no other options, comes off as a very, bossy. And so we're going to talk about how we can do this without being bossy and how we can take control of our lives in this little feminine spot where the decisions aren't so hard. They're really just a natural part of what we've always been doing all of our lives. We make decisions all the time. We're just not giving ourselves credit for it. So, all right, I'm done talking. I want to hear what you have to say about this chapter on decisions. So unmute yourself, chime in. If you were, yeah. So give your hands up, anyone. Welcome. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Lynn. Welcome. Yay.
Well, I'll hop in, I guess. I struggle with making decisions because I want to make the right decision. And we were talking the other day about choosing and decision making go together for me. And this idea of choosing because it's right, and not so much because it feels right, and not so much because the outcome is guaranteed, but more because it's coming from the place of my conviction and my inner conviction. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm very interested in what you're going to share about the sort of the feminine aspect of that, because, yes, it does seem like the model is this, military kind of thing. And that's not where I want to come from, and that's not where I come from. So.
Yeah. Yeah. We make a lot of decisions, and I love what you talked about, Robin, about where are you coming from? And that's really this is really the magic of being a great decision maker, is coming from the right spot. And for so long, we've been taught that we have to come from this this place of, we'll call it a masculine place, like this place of power. Oh, you know what? I will fix that. I think I might have got you guys muted as you pop in. Hold on. Maybe you can unmute yourself. Lynn, try. Sorry about that, guys. But we've been taught that the place of making a decision comes from this place of power, and this, and the power that we're taught, it looks so much different than the power that we feel. Okay, can you get the difference from that? Okay, so when you're feeling your power, and when you feel yourself completely in your own power, this is where you want to be making decisions from. And I'm going to tell you that feeling of power feels different for a woman than what it does for a man. It just feels different. And when we look at a man and we say he's making a decision out of his power, and you're trying to do it like he does because he's a man, it doesn't always work because you're putting yourself into a, like we put ourselves in. Some women can do this because they're, trained, habitually trained to make a decision from, or maybe they're just, have more of a masculine energy field in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But finding and getting comfortable, this is really like the magic here, is getting comfortable feeling what your own power feels like and making decisions from that space. So connecting to, and we feel powerful when we're making a choice, so you talked about that. When we're coming from a place of choice, and this is definitely the feminine way to go about this, and we'll talk a little bit about what makes choice such a powerful place to come from. And it's just that it's the softer side, and it's actually the easier side than a decision. I'm going to talk about this too because it's really because if you imagine that decision it's going to happen, like this whole idea that whatever you want is going to happen, right? Decision is that hard rock, like that says this can't be beat down, this can't be changed.
Well, it's decide. It's got homicide in it. It's got death in it.
Yeah.
It's a solid.
Go. Yeah. And yeah. So and Lynn says, and making a decision can often involve going through your fears. Okay. So, and this is what I really wanted to talk about too, because when we're there, let me see if I can pull all this energy in there, because there's no right way to go through a decision or using your choice. Okay, there's two different ways to do this: is choosing where you're going and moving effortlessly and gracefully to your destination, because you're not fighting against anything. Can you get this? When you're making a choice, there's nothing to fight against. When you're making a decision, you're actually imagining there's something in the decision that you're saying, I'm cutting against the thing, whether it's ego or whether it's the negative forces of the universe, which is great. This is a great muscle to use. However, there's a way to go through moving into the feminine, graceful way of making choices in life, as opposed to making hard decisions that cut everything else off, where we're kind of more open. We know what we want, we're choosing our destination, but we are not, there's nothing to fight against. This is the mastery of being a woman in this decision-making place. And I'm going to tell you something that is, we'll talk about the subconscious real quick, because I wanted to make sure I put this in here, is when there's that barrier between, I wish I had my little thing up. There's a barrier between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Just imagine that that's like the conscious mind is, like from here up, and the subconscious mind is from here down, like your heart. Just imagine like you're trying to get something into your heart, which is where your subconscious mind lives. And when you're making the repetition is something that will, program your subconscious mind to believe what you are telling it. So through affirmations, affirmations over and over and over again, repeated affirmations, actually will penetrate that layer that just it's invisible fences between your conscious, what I want, and your subconscious belief that you can have it. Choosing and when you're in your own power and you're making a choice, and we'll call it a choice because it's a much easier and gentler way to do this, as opposed to saying I'm making a decision and I'm not going to, have it. The moment you say I'm making a decision and there's nothing going to stop me, every single thing in the world, in the universe, because of the law of attraction, comes to try to stop you. I mean, we just don't get this. However, if we come from this place of choice, I'm choosing this for myself. You're actually putting a wedge into this, like you're wedging like a funnel of an opening. We'll just call it an opening. You're just making an opening in your subconscious, that barrier. It's sort of like you're putting a little, I don't know, like a magic hole opener, where you just, I don't even know what to call it, but you're allowing now, instead of fighting against everything. Yes, you're allowing the choices that you are making in life to go straight into your subconscious without resistance. And this is so powerful because you're no longer in that space of needing to constantly fight up against everything in order to get what you want. And Napoleon Hill was hoping, like, he wished that he would have gotten this, right? Like, as he's going through, I mean, I'm imagining he's like, yes, thank you for, moving this thing, because women do this naturally. We make choices, and it's a natural expression of what we are, and we make a choice, and we know, you can call it manipulation, you can call it whatever you want, but if you really, really are making a choice from your place of power and within your family, like, we're going to choose to go to Disney World next summer for our vacation, and somebody else is resisting that, somebody else wants something else, and they can make a decision, like they may have a masculine decision that they're going to go, I don't know, to Canada, we'll just say, but there's something about having the choice and saying, no, this is, I've made this choice. This is that I've chosen to go to Disney World, and it takes it's this level of grace that nothing can go against it. When there's that calm peacefulness inside of you, nobody wants to fight you. So,
hey Dawn,
this is
nothing to resist, nothing to persist.
Yeah. Anyways, that's. Yeah, go ahead. Elaine, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday, on my show, we were talking about these ing words that are, important and empowering. And one of the primary ones that we ended up talking about, Robin, I think were you the one that started talking about allowing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it is so perfect this morning that you're talking about this progression from deciding to choosing to allowing. Allowing really is at the greatest place of grace and ease. And it seems to me that allowing is aligned with the higher awareness that says, it's like the resources are already here, the answers are already here. I just have to allow myself to just be calm and receive them and know, and even in this moment notice that everything is really kind of okay. I don't have to fight with the what is that's going on. But the thought that came up when you started talking about making you're looking for, where do we go? Where do we as a family want to go on a vacation? Making a decision with a team is different than kind of doing it on your own. That allowing part then has a different dynamic. So it might be I'm allowing all the other people who I'm asking for their opinions on, where would be a nice place to go for vacation, and together let's find something that feels good for everyone. It has to start with the choosing or the allowing that I'm going to listen and I'm going to hear everybody else and then allow that to come forward. But my main point was the process is different when you're making a group choice allowance something than when you're just doing it on your own. It's a little trickier. It takes a different kind of awareness.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. And what I was thinking about in that space of that discussion was when there is the matriarch or that has made the decision that the whole family's going to go there without really asking for the input from everybody else, but has just made that choice and is, and it wasn't a masterminding kind of thought, but and yeah, so my kind of point was that there's something inside of us as women that we can move things along a choice regardless of what other people say, and it's so much gentler. It might feel weird to other people or manipulative or whatever, but it's a softer decision, and it just doesn't come up with the same level of it doesn't come. It just creates some space for grace to surround the person who's making the choice, not necessarily the people who are having the choice made for them. I get it.
I also feel that it is a resistance-free zone then.
Yeah.
The individual's resistance is going to start to come up to challenge the decision, because the allowing is the freedom and choosing is freedom. Like when I say the words, I know I make decisions all the time, big, small, kind of important, so unimportant, and I think we're all doing this every day. We're decide what I'm going to wear, decide what I'm going to cook for dinner, all of those little decisions. But then when I think about the word decision, and I think about it in terms of building my business, and I sit with the word decision, a little bit heavy, and then I sit with, as we did on Monday's Empire Building, about choosing and choice and allowing. I can really breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe is easy with that word decision. And I'm not afraid of making decisions, but it does. It has a very different resonance with me.
Yeah. It's a pretty fun thing to kind of re-energize, and I say re-energize when it's just a different energy from which we're coming from, and I just think that it can be so helpful for people who struggle, especially in the very beginning, when you're learning to flex your decision-making muscles. It's really just about looking, like you said, Andrea, looking for where you're making choices every single day. You choose what to wear, you choose to, what time to wake up. I mean, these are decisions that go just unnoticed every single day without resistance, right? They do go without resistance. And if we can move that choice into more and bigger and into arenas that we're not comfortable making choices, or we don't have the habit of making choices, we can really transform our lives just by making choices, choosing what we want, choosing where we want to go. We're so fixed by the law of cosmic habit, which is what Napoleon Hill talks about a lot in his Laws of Success, is this law of cosmic habit force. And it's about habits. And we get stuck in a habit of making decisions and making choices over a very small group of things that we feel safe about it, but we don't even know that we have this power to actually move those choices into every other area of our life. Any place where you're struggling, this power of choice and of choosing a different way is really as easy as choosing a different way. And it doesn't mean that and here's the thing, it doesn't mean that resistance doesn't come up, but if you can really be in this place of choosing, like choice, right now and in the moment, because this is really the power about this chapter and about making a choice, is being in decision and being in your place of choice right now. Not thinking, I'm going to choose something differently tomorrow. I'm in my spot, I'm in my power, and I'm choosing.
Dawn?
Right now, yes.
I got my sound back here. I wanted to say thank you. It's really great to be here. And I wanted to speak to the importance that you mentioned of choosing as well as allowing, because I feel that we're all affected by our programming from our past. It's like you mentioned, the subconscious, which is so important, and we don't necessarily recognize that that subconscious mind or heart is ruling our decisions. And so I thought it was really powerful yesterday when Robin brought up the verb of allowing, which also ties in with making conscious decisions, is that we have to learn to trust ourselves and not worry about making the wrong decision or maybe not doing the perfect thing, which I know I struggle with, wanting everything to be just right, allowing ourselves to fail forward so then we can choose to move in the direction of our goals and dreams.
You know, you just hit you just got the rest of this whole chapter, what I was going to talk about for the rest of it. You hit it without probably even knowing it, which is this word trust. It is if there's a power behind choice, it's trust. And if we can really be in our own power and trust, just trust that it will be okay, trust that it is okay.
Yeah.
And this gives you that momentum to keep moving forward in a path that is separate to the path of your programming. And Lynn, I'm so glad that you came on and brought this up, because our programming can be so strong. And I've written books about this, or a book. We'll talk, about the subconscious mind and about how we can use our intellectual faculties. But this magic, there's so much magic in this word choice and choosing. Because the moment you are just in your own space and you kind of are feeling your own, this is it, feeling your own power and making a choice, it doesn't matter what your programming is. You don't have to know what your programming is, and you don't have to be the person who goes, I'm struggling to do something because I can't figure it out. You know what? The magic is in being in your power right now, making a choice, and trusting it's okay. Trusting that it is okay. And I'm a coach. I do coaching. But it kind of negates, if you can do this, doesn't negate coaching, but get a coach who can help you do that. That's the kind of coach you want. Get the kind of coach who can help you be in your power, choosing from a place of your divinity or your highest self, and trust in who you are. Always moving in.
That's really great advice. A coach who can help you be in your power.
Yeah. And and we do this, the whole programming stuff, we want to reprogram, but the magic of the reprogramming is doing it in those moments. That's it. When you're faced with a choice, that's when you're doing the reprogramming. We just don't get that because we want to be distracted and we want to make it about something else. It's not. It's about making conscious choice now, and how loving and how self-appreciating is that you give yourself all your power in as many moments as you can.
Wow. And I'm sure something like this would also help with families who have special needs children. This can
Yeah.
apply to anyone, so that help people realize they don't have to feel stuck in that moment.
Yeah. And it's the little moments that make the biggest difference. It's those little moments that make you feel, yeah, those are the moments when you get to be unstuck, when you can feel that for yourself. So, yay. Great. I'm so glad you came on, because that was it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Trust. I wanted to make sure you got in the subconscious mind. I wanted to make sure that you really understood, the power of making a choice, and the power, the not the forceful power where you're going to, I don't know, need to fight and war against something in order, because this is so true about decision. It comes with its opposite, which is a lot of force that comes and backs up against it. But when you're in your power in the moment, there is no opposition. It's just here and now.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And so if you're feeling opposition, just know that you're out of your own power. That's all I have to say about that. And because it comes up all the time. We hear it. The resistance does come up, but it comes when we're not using our personal power in a way that honors who we are.
And, I wanted to add something. Would you agree that you just did, subconsciously or unconsciously, you took a deep breath? And would you agree that doing these deep breaths is almost like a reset button for our brain?
Yeah.
Even the laughter, if you think about laughter, you're breathing deeply and consciously when you laugh. So I'm wondering about that as well. Does that help in the decision-making power?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to let Elaine pop on, because she shared something with us a couple of weeks ago about yawning. Are you going to do this? Because we're going to yawn again. But it was so powerful. Elaine, can you pop in?
Yeah. So are we talking about laughing, or we're talking about yawning?
Both.
Okay.
And the breath. I think that those are all tools. There might be times where it's inappropriate to laugh and inappropriate to yawn, but taking a deep breath is very appropriate for any moment. But I liked what you talked about yawning.
Lynn was absolutely right when she said that when you're heartily laughing and when you're bringing some conscious attention to bringing in a deep breath as you're laughing, the whole body is just nourished when it gets more oxygen. And as I've said before, if you're laughing hard or if you're crying hard, you're emptying all the stale air out of your system too. And that's one reason we don't feel as refreshed, because we're breathing so shallowly. So every time that you're breathing, you're getting out the stale air, and your body is it's saying, every little cell is happy because it's more nourished with more oxygen. So now with the yawning, in this book, God Can Change Your Brain, or God Changes Your Brain, by Mark Waldman and Andrew Newberg, there's a chapter in there where they suggest that yawning is about the simplest, most effective tool for recentering yourself. They said, by some of their studies, it's even more effective than meditation, and it's quicker. If you take like 9 or 10 yawns in a minute or two, you will so completely balance your right and left brain, fully oxygenate your body. And they even say, when you hear people starting to talk about it or you read about it, it's not an uncommon for you to feel like you're going to start yawning. So do you want to just, all of us, and for anybody who's even watching this on a replay later, let's just take a minute to just let ourselves yawn multiple times. And it's going to look funny, but do you want to take a minute to just experiment with it?
I think so.
I was doing it.
All right.
I think it's a powerful thing to do. Yeah, so.
Now, there's a social acceptability thing. You might be in company of others, and if you start yawning, they're going to think, oh my, I'm boring. But just, okay. That's 2 for me.
Yeah, that's great. And I wanted to point out, just as we're yawning, that Amelia on the outside, hi Amelia, said that trust could be listening to your happy voice rather than listening to a should do voice from pre-programming. And I just thought that was awesome. Listening to your happy voice as we're yawning.
While I yawned, after about the 3rd yawn, when I let myself stop thinking about yawning, and I found my body went into this mode where it just took in like more oxygen. It just wanted to keep the yawn longer. I was surprised. So just play with it. I mean,
I think that's
how cheap is this?
I know, great. That's awesome.
And it's so funny because as a social signal, it could look like others, oh, they're saying, I must be boring, you know, they're falling asleep. But whether your body is stimulating it or whether you're making the conscious choice, apparently it can have great benefits. So, yes, oxygenate.
There's so many great scientific studies out there that, you know, talk about how oxygen is like the most important thing. We can live like no time at all without oxygen. And I want to tell you a little story.
No judgment for the yawning. Yes.
Yeah, and you know, if you're doing workshops, you might take yawning breaks. I think that might be a great idea for. I'm going to try that. Take a yawning break. Can I get people like...
On with the stretch always works best.
Yeah, a yawn and stretch. Woo!
Okay, and so then as you notice others spontaneously yawning during the next 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then you can laugh because
right.
It's just... And then we're smiling, and of course, you know, they say even if you don't feel like smiling and you put your mouth in that position and you keep it there, it starts stimulating the endorphins to flow. So it doesn't matter what point of decision, choice, or allowing it comes from. These things all connect together to just have us move back into our power.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's about being in our power. We can yawn and get ourselves centered. And I'll have to tell you, I have a true confession. This just happened to me yesterday. I guess it was. It could have been. It was yesterday. I came here to DC to help my husband. He's still on crutches and he's taking his class, and I am here to do writing. I'm here to write while he's in this class. But I have this huge writer's block, and I was like, oh, like sitting at the computer going, you know, what to write. And I realized I wasn't breathing. It was horrible when I caught myself not breathing. And I'm like, well, okay, let's just start by breathing. You know, like let's just start this whole writing process by breathing.
That's the basis.
And I'm telling you what, it was funny because not breathing is like a telltale sign. It's like, you know, if you like poker or whatever, it's like your tell that you're afraid. If you're not breathing, you're afraid of something. So I'm like, you know, it was evidence that I was totally afraid of writing, which is ridiculous. But, you know, who says it's ridiculous? So then I'm like, okay, I can, and I really wanted to move myself back into my center. I really wanted to get into my connection, realign with my higher self. That was my whole point. I wanted to write from that place, but obviously I was holding my breath and not in that place at all. And just breathing was that first step that helped me really get there. So it's a powerful tool, breathing and laughing.
So I'm going to get into a little wordplay here. It is the yawning of the age of Aquarius.
I
of
like the
course,
idea of oxygenating.
Yes and yawn both start with Y. So if you say yes to your yawning and then you get back to your Y, your WHY, why you're here, to be in your power, to remember your power, to be a healing presence, to remember, Lynn, as you were saying yesterday, we are the presence of love. You didn't use exactly those words, but when you started being bold enough to say those words in the show, I was like,
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Elaine, thank you. You know, I find that, I don't know if all of you feel this way. Dawn, you just mentioned about recognizing your block and recognizing the need to breathe. But sometimes I feel like there's two parts of me, the bold me and the other part that's just wanting to stay in bed with the covers over my head, the fearful part. And I'm realizing that I'm really working on myself. In fact, I have a program tomorrow at noon with a man who is paralyzed and learned to start all over again with everything and learn to work with fears. And I realize that's something that I'm working with. So, you know, I guess we just attract what we need and then we give that back to the universe, hopefully in a positive way.
Yeah.
Sorry for the sound effects here. But this is great that we're all attracting positivity and sharing the need to breathe and to be our optimum selves by conscious choosing.
Yeah, and you know, this is, oh gosh, I'm so glad you're on the call or on the Hangout today, Lynn, because you're stirring a lot of inspired, you know, more depth, I guess. But even when you're in that space of duality, and we feel this all the time, I don't so much anymore, but I remember feeling like torn between two people, the person who wants to succeed and the person who wants to lay in bed.
Yes.
You know, and for me, and I'm going to tell you this, for me, the magic pill, the magic pill for that was to really just appreciate myself. That was it. That's self-appreciation is my magic pill. And how does that look when I'm laying in bed? You know, and how does that look when I'm, you know, when I'm feeling lazy, you know, when I'm feeling like the opposite of super successful? It looks like this. Even though I'm feeling whatever, I completely appreciate myself, and then I can make a choice, a conscious choice,
Right.
whether I want to stay in bed or whether I want to get up. But when you're in your choice of staying in bed or getting up, when you are actually making a conscious choice, you've got your power back. You're no longer struggling between the higher self and the lower self. There's no place for the struggle when you're in that choice. You're owning the fact that you're either going to get up or you're not. So it's such a powerful little way to and you can feel yourself wanting, you know, and sometimes you're going to want to stay in bed, but you're going to find out the more you're aware of the choices that you're making by whatever you're doing, okay? The more you're aware of those choices, the more you're going to feel empowered to do things that aren't the things that you would beat yourself up for, you know, yesterday. The more momentum that you're going to have to move you forward in a very powerful, a very expansive, a very, you know, you way, in the direction that you are meant to go. And here's something that, you know, Amelia talked about, is that you're not doing things because you think you should do them. You stop that noise of I should get out of bed, because this is what's going on when you're in bed, right? This bedtime thing is a big deal.
Also, the metaphor. It's it's not just the bed, but it's a metaphor of wanting to withdraw, even
Yeah.
speaking up, so saying, okay, I think my voice is okay, acknowledge, because I find that I can listen to Robin, Elaine, others, Amelia, and I think, oh, well, they really know they really have something to say that does, and I don't want to demean myself, but I think it's, for me, I often find it's natural to start reverting into, well, maybe mine isn't such a good enough message, and I have to work with that, as you said. I love that, to say, okay, I appreciate myself, whether it's, getting out of bed or even just speaking up. Elaine is very good with Reiki as well to help people get in tune with their potential. I think that's really what you're talking about, getting in tune.
Yeah.
I'm just led to speak about this. It's the voice of the critic and the ego that looks at the other person. Lynn, like you're saying, you could look at me certain times or somebody else and say, oh, they really have their act together. But if we start looking at this larger definition of myself is not just this me encased in a body. If I'm listening to Robin or I'm listening to Lynn and you're you've let the barriers dissolve and let the power express through you, and I feel it, then I am experiencing myself connected to you, as you, with you. And this is the larger, I'll call it the paradigm shift that's coming on, where we just stop identifying ourselves as so much as a small individuated self. In the chat box about 15 minutes ago, I turned my camera off and I typed in, I just shifted into this place of appreciating everything that everybody was saying, and I got so moved to be in this place, where we've just all come together to be our authentic selves and express our stuff and our questions and our awarenesses. And I just started crying. I was just so much in that place of appreciation. So it's like the next time that I find myself doing what you expressed, Lynn, the comparison, oh, look at them, that if I can just come to that awareness that says, oh, that is me. If I can see it, then I am that. And let me just feel that unity, and let me be in that place of appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Let me allow that more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love you
Thanks.
guys.
Thanks.
You guys are I'm so glad that we're opening this space to talk about these things, because this is the important stuff. This is the important stuff. You can't, and Lynn, I taught the law of attraction for like 7 years, and it was just hardcore law of attraction. And one of the hardest things for me to help somebody see and get was this idea that what Elaine just said. If you can see it in somebody else,
You are that.
it's in you.
Yes, wow. That's so.
You are that. You can't see it if you're not in resonance with it. And so the same goes true with, like the judgment, the negative judgment too. If you're seeing it in somebody, you've got it. So then you're like, okay, I got it too. So we're all one, and that's the truth of it. But when you are surrounded by powerful people who you admire, that says a ton about you, Lynn. It says a ton about you, where you are vibrationally. You may not have made the to move forward in your own power. However, you're already vibrating that.
Wow. That's fantastic, Susie.
That is
I love it. I appreciate all of you for this. Wonderful.
Yeah. The power of appreciation cannot be overestimated. Appreciation as a practice, like you've taught me, Dawn.
Yeah.
And feeling the energy among us and whoever else is listening. You're saying you have to be at a certain point to be willing and able to tune into that frequency.
Yeah.
Well, and if you feel like you don't feel it, then you could always say, I'm curious to experience that too. And that is such a different way of opening and allowing to the experience as opposed to saying, I don't feel that. Well, if you notice, I don't feel that, then you could choose and allow, I'm curious to experience that too. So I love the word curiosity.
That's an allowing word.
That's an allowing word.
I have 7 minutes left. But this
Dawn's a little frozen.
is a
Hello.
Oh.
To you, Dawn.
my we'll see.
Huh.
Well, you could still speak.
Her signal strength may have dropped or something.
Yeah.
It's oscillating. Wow, this is a really powerful.
This was really a deep and very meaningful session for me. I have to thank you all. This is
me too.
great.
Oh, this was incredible today.
I mean, in a sense, we're stepping out of ourselves and just looking at what we're going through. But as you said, Elaine, just allowing and being curious. So we're looking at ourselves as energy being from an energetic viewpoint.
I want to throw one little piece into that. This is just to expand that a little bit. Whatever you see, Lynn, or whatever I see, whatever any of us see that is beautiful, it draws us, pulls us. Like when I smell a rose, something happens to me. And we can identify with that, the beauty or the sense, whatever it is that appeals to us or that rises an emotion with us, that's a reflection back of our own beauty. And we can say, that beauty, that fragrance I smell in the rose, that's something about me. It's another way of having this whole conversation that we're having.
Never thought of it that way. Thank you.
I love that, Robin. Yeah.
It's a good thing to do to whatever you enjoy that's outside of you to say, oh, that's a reflection of me. Or even ask, how is that a reflection of me? It's a way to deepen your own expression and your appreciation of yourself. And that's actually a way of worshiping God. I'll just say it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And yesterday, on my show, we were talking about ing words. And so I'm so glad you brought up the word beauty, Robin, because it makes me want to embrace the statement, I am beautifying my day. And I do that with letting myself, my eyes fall on anything. And this is back to the curiosity. Let me see what's beautiful. Even in the most ordinary things. This is like stuff for Course in Miracles, which suggests that the human definitions of anything you see in the world are such a partial definition of what it really is that you might as well throw out all your human definitions. That's essentially what the Course in Miracles starts with. And then it says, be curious to see the God in it. Whatever it is, even if it looks like your enemy, even if it looks like your challenge, Where's the God here?
Yes.
And that's how you step out of this dualistic experience, because, I mean, the ego frame of reference is always going to argue with you because it just wants to protect its way of identifying, which is separate and mostly body identified. And that's why all of these breathing experiences, these yawning, these conversations that we have, they help us get back to just dissolving the sense of separation, which is it's just kind of an illusion. It's not really firm. Curious.
But it's true,
So,
Elaine.
Hey, back, Robin. Dawn. We see you back again.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm going to try to keep. I'll try to keep the camera off. Maybe it'll keep me going. But this is great discussion. You guys just ran with it. I'm so grateful for so much. I mean, like, this is a super hangout. So much in here. I hope that the people that are watching on the outside got as much as we did on the inside, because this was when I'm teaching the law of attraction, this choice is the most powerful thing that we can do to manifest in the moment. This is it, being in this space of choice. I choose, and I have just as a little bonus here, actually, if you guys want to stay on, I'm going to close this thing up. If anyone on the outside wants to pop on in, go ahead and do it now, because I'm going to stop the broadcast, and I'm going to give them my manifesting. I have a 5-step manifesting tool that will help you, so I'm going to give that to you guys on the inside, and but I'm going to stop the broadcast. And thanks for everybody who was here watching this week, who participated, who read this chapter on Decision and Think and Grow Rich. Next month, we are going to do the chapter on persistence. I think it's, persistence, chapter 9. I can't remember. I think it's chapter 9, persistence. And it is, we're going to talk about it. We're going to give you like the heads up this week. Persistently being in your power. Napoleon Hill, whatever he wrote, we're going to talk about, we're going to read it, but we're going to get to the point of persistently, over and over, more often, being in our own power than being out of it. That's really being in that space of choice more than we're not. And, yeah. Elaine, one more thing?
I have a wordplay thing to encourage everybody to read the chapter on persistence. Okay, so look at what's in the middle of persistence and insistence. It's like SIS. It's like, it's the sisters. It's the feminine.
Oh, wow.
It's like,
how cute. Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that to in our hearts, and we'll keep it with us next week.
persistas. Oh, I love it, Robin.
All right, take a deep breath as we're going out of here, everyone. Thank you so much. And if you're watching from the outside and you want to pop in on the inside, just click that link and join us, and I'll give you my little manifesting tips. It's so easy, and it'll just help you manifest what you want. But it's all about choice, so hop on in.